Hello everyone, this is Nitpicking Nerd, and today I want to talk about Star Trek Discovery. And in a lot of comments on YouTube, I see a lot of people seem to think that there's going to be something romantic between Spock and Michael, and I really don't get it. A lot of people seem to mistake the trailer for the next episode as showing Spock and Michael kissing, but that wasn't actually Spock, it's Ash Tyler. A lot of people seem to confuse that for a Spock because Spock has a beard now, and so they thought that was Spock kissing Michael. And some people say there are leaks about it, that it's going to be revealed that Michael and Spock had a thing going on between them, something romantic or sexual, and I find it really hard to believe they're going to do anything like that. That's incest. I don't care that they're not genetically related. If they grew up together as brother and sister for a lot of years living in the same house since they were kids, that would still be kind of like incest because psychologically they should still be like brother and sister. So if they reveal that there was something more, then that will be kind of nasty. So I hope they won't go there, and also that will ruin the character of Spock even more, of course, which maybe they want to do, and just ludicrous in my opinion. So I really hope they don't go there. The only thing that would be kind of clever about it, if you can call that clever, is that it will explain how come Spock never mentioned his sister ever again to anyone. I guess if he was so embarrassed because there was something bad going on between them, something that is taboo and something that people will find disgusting, then that would explain how come he didn't want to mention her to anyone ever again. Of course, it would have been so much simpler simply not to tie her to Spock at all from the get-go. What was the point to even do that? They wanted to give her a Vulcan kind of background, they could have done it with a different Vulcan family. Why tie it to the family of Spock at all when it doesn't fit continuity? It has the risk of pissing off the old fans because you want to ruin the character of Spock to make Michael look better next to him. Why simply not create different Vulcan characters? Why did you have to tie it with Sarek and Spock? Also, it's stupid that Sarek is the only Vulcan in the history of Vulcan who wants to have relationships with humans. Like all the other Vulcans are racist and don't want anything to do with humans, even though they're supposedly part of the Federation at this time. So why are all the Vulcans except Sarek so racist? So it makes it all stupid and annoying. Why not just simply have a different Vulcan character who is kind of like Sarek and have him be the adoptive father of Michael? Why the need to tie it with Spock at all? It only pisses off the old Star Trek fans. Sometimes I think maybe the showrunners of Discovery are deliberately doing all this kind of stuff to piss off the fans because they think this way fans will talk about it, and negative publicity is still publicity. So maybe they want the outrage, maybe they want people to be talking about this show more, so they're deliberately trying to piss off the fans because if they want to lure the old fans to watch this, and that's why they use all the old characters, then shouldn't they have more respect for the old characters? Why are they making them all into such unlikable characters? So maybe they're deliberately trying to piss us off so that we'll talk about it more, and this will generate buzz and publicity, and it will show up more on the internet, and then maybe other people will hear about it more, and then they'll become curious. Wait, why are all the Trekkies so angry about? Maybe I should check it out. So maybe they're deliberately doing that. And maybe they will do the incest thing for the same reason because it will generate more buzz on the internet, and then other people will want to check out the show. I hear there's some crazy stuff going on in the new Star Trek shows that all the Trekkies are angry about. There's some incest stuff going on, and there's a lot of nonsense. Maybe I should check it out, maybe to get a laugh. So I don't know if it's all deliberate, a master plan, or if it's all simply stupidity on the part of the showrunners. Probably the latter. Probably it's just stupidity. All the Vulcan background of Michael, that is something that I actually don't dislike because it does explain some of her unique abilities and stuff like that. So that makes her less of a Mary Sue because, Mary Sue is perfect at everything without an explanation. But with Michael, at least we have some kind of explanation. Oh, so she knows Vulcan martial arts. She knows how to do the nerve pinch, even though it doesn't really make sense scientifically because, there is no such technique in real life. So with the Vulcans, we could always kind of presume it's kind of a telepathic power. It has to do with their biology. So a human shouldn't really be able to do that, even though we did see humans do that also, and even Data used that in one episode. So I guess in the Star Trek universe, there is something biological that makes it possible, but in real life it doesn't actually work, by the way. But I do like the fact that there is some kind of explanation for Michael's abilities. So she's so good at science because she was raised on Vulcan, so fine. At least it has some kind of explanation. But what I don't like is the fact that Sarek supposedly is the only one who is interested in humans from all the Vulcans. He's the only Vulcan who likes humans. All the other Vulcans are racist toward humans, so that doesn't make sense, and it's stupid, and it ruins the Vulcans also. Because the Vulcans are also supposed to be an enlightened species. They're one of the founding members of the Federation. They're supposed to be like the Jedi of Star Trek. They're the ones with the cool religion and the cool culture and martial arts and telepathy and all kinds of stuff like that. So the Vulcans were supposed to be like the Jedi of Star Trek, and yet in all these recent reincarnations, they're trying to make the Vulcans into racist assholes and all that stuff. So I don't really like this whole idea. And so she should have simply been adopted by someone else and not the same Sarek that we knew, because it doesn't fit continuity, and I talked about this before. So they should have simply made Sarek into a different Vulcan, and then I would not have that big of an issue. Also, it makes Sarek look kind of creepy, like he's the only Vulcan who has kind of a fetish toward humans. His first wife was a human, and also his second wife who appeared in TNG was also a human, and also he has an adoptive human daughter. So it seems as if he has a fetish toward humans, like he loves humans, he wants to integrate humans into Vulcan society for some reason, and other Vulcans don't like that. Why not make him a different character, and then it will show that a lot of Vulcans were like Sarek. He's not the only Vulcan who was like that, and then people will not complain about the continuity problems, and they could have a story with a different Vulcan who is kind of like Spock, and then it's fine that he's so different. You could do whatever you want with him. Like, what's the big deal of creating a different Vulcan character? You know, Voyager did that with Tuvok. It was a different Vulcan, kind of similar to Spock, but a different person. And then no one felt as if someone was violating their beloved character. And so that's what they should have done. Also, tying everything together too much makes the universe seem smaller. I mean, if the same people keep running into each other in a big galaxy, then the galaxy looks much smaller, as if it's only a few ships in the whole galaxy. So that's another problem. They should expand the universe. They should create more characters who didn't meet each other in other times by accident. The same problem with Mad, by the way. They keep running into Mad, who is this one criminal, but they keep meeting him in a very big galaxy that makes the galaxy seem smaller. Why not have other kinds of criminals of the same type, but with different names, and then the different personality would also be fine. We won't feel as if you're violating the continuity, because it's not the same character, he's not behaving in the same way, so why did you give him the same name? It only pisses off the old fans. And the new fans don't know who he is anyway, because the new fans who never watched the original show, the name will not do anything to them. They won't know that it's a character that we've seen before. And so they don't care about that. The only ones who care are the old Trekkies. So why are you pissing them off? If you want to use the same character, then you should be careful with continuity, and you should respect the character how he was before and not try to change him. If you want to change him, then just do a brand new character, and then no one would complain. And your new fans don't know the difference anyway, so you're only pissing off the old fans. So I think it's a mistake to try to tie everything together too much, keep running into the same people, or be related to each other. I don't think it's a good idea, because it makes it look like there are far fewer people in the galaxy. I mean, why not make Tuvok related to Spock? Hey, let's make Tuvok the son of Spock and Michael. That would make sense, right? I mean, why not? It will give an interesting backstory to Tuvok. It will retroactively make him only a quarter Vulcan, yet he doesn't know it. He thinks he's fully Vulcan, but he's not. Maybe because Michael genetically engineered him to make him look like fully Vulcan, so that he won't suffer the same childhood trauma as she did, being looked upon as different. So maybe that's why no one knew that he's actually mostly human, because he's the son of Michael and Spock. And the age will fit as well, because he's supposed to be 100 years old by the time of Voyager. So it will all make sense. I mean, why not? It sounds ridiculous, right? But that's exactly the kind of stuff they're now doing with Spock and Sarek, trying to tie them forcefully into this new character, which doesn't make sense, it doesn't fit. But I guess it's designed to make this character more interesting by tying her with these great characters from the past. And also, I guess, to try to make their backstory interesting, but it doesn't really work, and it's annoying. And they might as well make Tuvok the son of Michael and Spock, because why not? Maybe this theory can also explain how come Tuvok didn't have his Vulcan ears when he was stationed on the Enterprise B, which we saw in the movie Generations. We saw Tuvok on that ship without his Vulcan ears. Maybe he discovered the fact that he's mostly human, and so he decided to abandon his Vulcan heritage and had a plastic surgery done and decided to live a human life, and then at some later point in his life he regretted that decision, and then later he left Starfleet or became a member of Section 31. And in one of his covert missions he had to help a group of terrorists steal some lithium from the Enterprise D, but he was stopped by Captain Picard. and was beamed out by Section 31 in the last moment before the Baron sweep killed him. And later he rejoined Starfleet, and because of his experience with covert operations, that's why Janeway sent him as a spy against the Maquis, and then eventually he ended up on Voyager. So why not? Why not add this complex, convoluted backstory to Tuvok just to tie him with Michael, to make him the son of Michael? Actually, it sounded quite good, didn't it? It kind of fixed a lot of issues. It explained how come that actor appeared in all these different movies and shows. So that actually might work, because it is interesting. Unlike what they're doing with Sarek and Spock, just destroying their characters. Another theory I have for why they constantly want to go back to the original characters from the original show, it might also be because they want to kind of renew their copyright hold over all those ideas and character names and all that stuff, because, Star Trek is a very old show, and at some time in the future it would probably become public domain, which means anybody could make Star Trek movies with the same names and everything. So maybe they deliberately set this show at about the same time frame and reusing all the same characters so that they can claim copyright over all of those ideas, and if anyone tries to make fan movies, then they'll be able to sue them, like with Axanar. So maybe they're kind of thinking long term, and they're worried about the time in which Star Trek will become public domain. But if they make a new series set in the same time frame using all the same ideas, like showing the tribbles and using all the same characters like Mad, Pike, Sarek, Spock, all those same things, they renew them in a way. So I'm not a legal expert, but my theory is that they did it deliberately to kind of put their hand in the door and prevent it from ever shutting down, to not go into public domain territory, so that they will not have the competition of their own fans trying to make movies set in that time frame. So I think that's one of the reasons they made this show in the first place. It's not a coincidence that it came out right after the Axanar lawsuit and all that stuff. That was supposed to be set in the same time frame before the original show. They saw how successful it could be, so they sued the fan production to shut it down, and then they made Discovery set in the same time frame. So they saw that this is something fans are interested in, this is something that might be successful, so they prevented the fans from doing that, and they did it themselves, and did it in a bad way, of course. And for various copyright reasons, because of the split with the movies, they had to make it different, so they decided to reimagine everything, which is also another reason a lot of fans are so pissed off. And also because they're kind of embarrassed of the original show. These producers who made this, they said that they never liked the original Star Trek shows, and so they're changing Star Trek into something they think it will have more fans, something, they're turning it all into action-packed, and into kind of edgy and like Game of Thrones, killing off all the characters. And they're taking kind of cool stuff from a lot of movies and shows and pushing it all together in a blender and shitting out STD with all of those elements which they think will be successful. But they didn't bring anything original of their own, anything new to the show. And so people see through all that stuff. At least people like me who watched all those other cool movies that they're pushing into all of this. I constantly feel like deja vu when I watch Discovery, because I constantly kind of point at the screen and say, oh, that's from that movie, that's from that movie, this design is like the xenomorph, and they admitted, I watched the behind the scenes of the show, the designers on the show admitted that, oh, the new Klingons are inspired by H.R. Giger's xenomorphs. There's a lot of similarities like that, which I don't really mind, I'm fine with them, but you have to do something new as well. You cannot just base the entire show only on borrowed ideas. You have to do something original at all. The only thing close to original is actually the Spore stuff, but that doesn't fit the rest of Star Trek, so that again only creates more problems. And it's also not completely original. It's very similar to the spice in Dune, and they ripped off the tardigrade thing from a computer game, so nothing really original. Some of it seems kind of original if you don't know where they took it from. But people who do know, like big nerds like me who did watch a lot of science fiction, they do recognize all these elements. So this is one of the reasons I'm getting pissed off at this show, because it's stupid. They're not thinking straight. They could have avoided so many of these problems they created with simply a little bit of creativity and not trying to cash in on old characters and old ideas, and then messing it up and doing it all incorrectly and in the most stupid ways, which only piss off the original fans. If you want to lure them and then you piss them off, and then they go and watch the Orville instead, because the Orville at least has some fresh ideas and is doing things from the start. So the Orville is better both for new fans and for old fans, because they're doing that in the style that the old Trek is loved, and it feels more fresh and original. Well, it is a little bit recycled, I did complain about that as well, but in a lot of episodes it also felt very fresh at the same time. It's different enough to feel more creative and imaginative and original as well. And so that's why I do think the Orville is better than Star Trek Discovery. even in terms of characters and the stories and everything. And even the visual style is much more pleasant in the Orville, even though in Discovery it seems as if they're trying to improve that. Everything is much brighter now, not as dark and blue as it was before. Suddenly everything looks a little bit better, so at least visually they are trying to improve. And the special effects do look more expensive in Star Trek Discovery. I do admit that they do look much better in some places, but it's also stupid in a lot of ways. Also, they're trying to imitate the JJ movies, even some of the same story elements, some of the same plot. I showed that on my other channel. I showed compilations comparing Star Trek Discovery to a whole bunch of other movies which they're ripping off constantly. So that's also one of the reasons that Discovery doesn't feel original or creative at all. It seems to be like a mashup with a whole bunch of other movies which they're ripping off to try to make Star Trek much cooler. So it's obvious that Star Trek Discovery was not made by people who love Star Trek or even understand Star Trek. And the Orville understands the old Star Trek much better, and so they're much closer to what Star Trek should be. Even though I do have some complaints about Orville as well, and I will leave that to my next video. I'll probably review the Orville first and only then Star Trek Discovery when they come out. Also, I recorded a review of the Orville with my girlfriend. I watched it with her and she actually loved the Orville, and she's not a science fiction fan at all. She never liked the old Star Trek shows and stuff like that, and yet she loves the Orville. So that shows me that the Orville is even better for casual viewers who don't actually like science fiction or Star Trek. Even those kinds of people love the Orville much more. So even my girlfriend, who kind of hates science fiction, she actually loved the Orville. And so in my next video I will upload my review together with my girlfriend, reviewing the Orville. And it is funny that she didn't like the things that I liked, and I didn't like the things that she liked, so that should be a very interesting review, because we had very different points of view on a lot of things. So that's coming up next. If you enjoy my videos, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.